Nick Wright is now joining us, co-host First Things First. I do not believe he has to win some award, some plaque to validate his legacy. I think if the Warriors win and he's not the MVP, he's still great. Some people are never going to put him in the top 10. Some will always put me in the top 10. Whatever. Where do you fall in this? Warriors win. He doesn't get the MVP, though. Is it a ding on his legacy?
It's not a ding, but it's just, Colin, when you and your fellow moguls get together and you're all talking about, your multiple palatial estates and your boats and things, if all of you have a nice boat and one guy doesn't, don't you guys look around and be like, why doesn't he have a boat? Boats are cool. Or maybe you're the guy without the boat.
I am.
Like, when the 10 greatest, and they're like, hey, Cowherd's so weird. He's got 3 ski lodges, no boat. What an odd guy. So here's the thing. Every player that's on your top 10 list, no matter who it is, who was eligible for their entire career for Finals MVP has one. Except Steph. That's weird. The only other guy you could say is Dr. J, but Dr. J's got 2 of the ABA equivalent, and he spent half his career there. So I don't think he has to have it. I think Steph is the 10th best player of the modern era. Of Kareem to now, I think Steph's 10th, as he sits there today. But the guy 9th, for example, is Shaq. And Shaq, over a 3-year stretch, averaged in the finals 36 and 13. Steph's never had that. And now it is overrated. Steph's been terrible in the finals. That's not true. He was bad in one finals, 2016. He was good to very good in the other 4. But what's also true is this, Colin. If we were to say, guys, Steph's clearly better than, like Dwayne Wade or Dirk, and there's others we could list, Giannis, has a better career than Giannis. All of those guys have reached greater heights in the finals than Steph. Steph has only had one truly transcendent finals game, and they lost it. It was the 47 he scored against Toronto. If you look at, I was talking about this morning on the show, all his playoff games sorted by game score. Of the 10 best, only one is a finals game, and it's a game they lost, the one I mentioned against Toronto. And of his 10 worst playoff games of his career, 4 are finals games. So it's not a myth to say that compared to the other greatest players of all time, he doesn't have this long list of great finals moments, and it is odd he doesn't have a finals MVP. Despite all of that, I still think he's the 10th best guy of the modern era, and if you want to talk all time, that probably puts him 13th or 14th all time once you add Wilt and Russell and Jerry.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's being unfair, and I don't think it's being irrational to say everyone else has one, Steph should go get one.
All right. KD and Draymond had kind of a friendly tiff yesterday, about influence. Yeah, it started. I didn't start it. It's just on the volume, my podcast network. Draymond talked. Yeah. I knew it was going to get KD worked up. The minute he said it, I knew it was going to get him worked up. What did you make of the tiff, if it could be called that?
Here's what I make of it. I've come around here. I've decided I'm a KD guy now. Once he ditched the burners and he's just totally transparent, he's like, hey, guess what? I'm relatively young, I'm rich, ostensibly single, telling Letterman, you know what I like to do in my spare time? Smoke weed and play video games. You know what I also like to do? Get on the old social media and argue with people. I'm like, KD, he's just like us. Like, he's unapologetically himself. So I got no problem with it. And I do think Draymond, and listen, I get it, Draymond's your guy, and Draymond, I also have massive respect for Draymond. He does tend to pick this scab a lot, doesn't he? I don't think Draymond was just being totally innocuous when he said Steph got double teamed 7 times as much as Durant. I don't think that's totally accurate or fair. Yeah. I do think the Cavs were more focused on stopping Steph.
Yeah.
But I also think an argument would be that's because it's been demonstrated you might be able to stop Steph. Well, maybe the argument is, even if we're focused on stopping KD, if he's on, there's no stopping him. So why send a double team at him? So I don't mind Draymond saying what he said. And Draymond is a loyal guy, and his first loyalty is obviously Steph. I also don't mind. KD's going to argue with anybody. He'll argue with you, with me, with James Worthy, with anonymous people on Twitter or Draymond Green. If you mention Kevin Durant's name, he's like a candy man. You say his name 3 times, he's showing up in your mentions, and you're going to have to deal with him.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with it.
Well, I'm glad you pivoted because I actually love KD. I hated his decision to leave the Warriors, but I'm going to get to that later today, and I try to theorize why it would be on the Draymond stuff. So I think the legacies are kind of set for Golden State. Not that there's not pressure, but they got their money, they got their rings, they have their legacies. Draymond's going to make the Hall of Fame. Clay is, Steph, Kerr, blah, blah, blah. Whereas Boston, this is a big one because Middleton's coming back. Philly may be better. Daryl Morey's a deal maker. Miami will add a piece. Like, this is important. We thought Oklahoma City was going to get to a bunch of finals, and they never got back. And it's like, this is a big one for Boston. So I think the pressure is on. You made a list today about most to gain in this series. I want you to talk about it.
Yeah, I just think, listen, it's Tatum's number 1. And I start there because Colin, he's 24. A guy, the list of guys who have won a title and made a first-team All-NBA before their 25th birthday, Michael didn't, LeBron didn't, Giannis didn't. It is a short list. Tatum would join that list. Magic did it, Bird did it, Kareem did it. Hakeem never did it, Shaq never did it, Kobe did do it. So for Tatum, a guy who, to me, as recently as 3 months ago, I was talking with you, like, listen, Jayson Tatum is on the tier with Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker and Trae Young. That's somewhere in the 13 to 17 range of NBA player.
Feels low.
Well, not if they win this title.
Right.
Well, you told me at the time, I'll give you credit. At the time, you told me it feels low, and now it clearly was low. He has now elevated himself to where he's clearly a top 10 guy in the league.
Yeah.
And if they win the title, and he went through KD and then Giannis and then Jimmy, and I'm not going to leave out Jimmy because I'm not going to catch that heat from Joy Taylor she got you with a moment ago, calling the Heat the inferior team. Listen, the Heat culture permeates all the way to Los Angeles if Joy's involved. So Joy, I'm giving Jimmy respect. But to go through those 3 wings, KD, Giannis, then Jimmy, and then if he wins the title going through the Warriors, I think he has the most to gain. I don't know if he's face of the league guy. I think that's still Giannis, but he's clearly top 5 guy. And then the last person on that list, just real quick, Colin, maybe this isn't for the show, just off the air, look at it. If Al Horford wins this title, he's going to make the Hall of Fame. And people can say that's crazy. Put up Al Horford's resume next to Reggie Miller's. They have the same number of All-Star appearances. Keep in mind, college performances count. He won 2 titles in college. He's 15 a game in his career. Reggie was 18 a game in his career. Nobody doubts Reggie's a Hall of Famer. If they win the title, Al Horford, whether he should or shouldn't, is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know. The Hall of
Doesn't
Fame.
feel right.
The Basketball Hall of Fame is very forgiving of lack of influence.
Well, you're putting Draymond. When you said Draymond's going to be a Hall of Famer, was it basketball or podcast? Which one? Both?
Both. Yeah, both.
Two-way Hall of Famer. Okay.
Okay. So I'll let you make your final predictions on your show. I don't need that. I do want your opinion on this. I said yesterday. We have coaches, owners, and GMs that will give people second chances, and they're not even good people. Like they have injuries, they're bad people, they're bad for locker room. Antonio Brown, right. Zion's a good guy. He's been like Wilt when he's healthy. And the Pelicans are like, we're not giving you a 5-year guaranteed deal, which I wouldn't either. He's played 38% of the potential games. I think people are going to call for him. And I think the Pelicans gave Phoenix trouble, and they're ascending, they're fun, they're interesting, they got great chemistry. If Zion says, I want 5 years guaranteed, would you give it to him?
I'd give him almost exactly what he wants. So people are like, oh, Joel Embiid didn't get it. Joel Embiid, first of all, had more significant injury concerns than Zion, and Joel Embiid signed a bad contract. The comp for Zion is not the Embiid contract from a few years ago. It's the Michael Porter Jr. contract from last summer. Michael Porter Jr., they were both great high school prospects.
Yeah.
Michael Porter Jr. then did nothing in college because of injuries, fell in the draft because of injuries. Zion was amazing in college, number one pick. Michael Porter Jr. barely played more up to that point in his career than Zion has. He got 5 for 172 and 5 for 145 fully guaranteed. The 5th year was partially guaranteed. I would absolutely give Zion that. The idea that we're going to give him a contract that you could void based on weight clauses or injuries, no, I'm not signing that if I'm Zion. And if the Pelicans want to be anything more than what you described, oh, they're fun, they're cute, they're entertaining, you can't have, they lucked out in the Chris Paul draft that he fell to where he did and they got him. And then he left his first chance. They lucked out winning the lottery with Anthony Davis, then he left his first chance. You can't risk souring the well with Zion. So yeah, I would give Zion, I would roll the dice. Because if Zion, I guess the 3 options are this. You make Zion happy, he stays healthy, and you're a real contending team. That's the only good option. Option 2 is you make Zion happy, he gets hurt, well then you're screwed. Option 3 is you anger him, he leaves first chance, but you save money, but you're screwed anyway. So I'd pay him. Yeah. 5 for 170 with everything guaranteed but the 5th year. I think Zion would take that. What do you mean? You wouldn't? Well, let me ask you this, Colin. Let me just ask you this real quick. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who everybody seems to love, but nobody watches play because he plays in Oklahoma City. He got 5 for 170. Right now, would you trade Zion for SGA? Because I wouldn't if I were New Orleans. And New Orleans, if you were New Orleans, I would do it. And they paid him. Zion, if SGA is worth 5 for 170, so is Zion, even with the questions.
I like dependable assets. I don't do Bitcoin. I don't do unregulated currency. I like things.
I get it.
Yeah, I don't like. Here's a bunch of money.
That's because you're already rich, buddy. You're not the Pelicans. If you're someone that's been struggling forever, you might put a few shekels in the old crypto market trying to hit it big. Yeah, you can be like, give me a T-bond because I can get 4% and I'll take it. That's not how the Pelicans live. Give me a break.
That's how I live, Nick Wright. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.